The fact that this country is what it is today began with patriots who were able to defend themselves with weapons as equal as what their rulers, the British military, had. That's what led to this great nation, this great republic, that has made such an incredible impact all across the world. And that's what we're fighting for. And I mean, we are fighting for this. That's why this story tonight that Victoria is going to share with us is so important. I have 2 grandsons. They live in Washington. They're 3 and 5. Their dad, my stepson, is a hunter, and he's training these kids about guns, which is good, how to handle them properly, how to not be afraid of them, to understand what they mean. And I want to make sure that my grandsons grow up in a free country where they can choose to be anything they want to be, and they can choose to defend themselves and their families any way they choose to, and not be afraid of being literally persecuted for exercising their human right to defend themselves. That's what we're talking about tonight. So, a person that we decided we should ask to tell this story is our friend Victoria Taft. Now, many of you know her from her years of being in Portland. She no longer lives in Oregon right now, but she very graciously consented to fly up here at her expense to come and make this presentation tonight, because she feels so passionately about this issue. She's deeply involved in it. You know, she's a broadcaster. She's a content creator for the Independent Journal Review, and if you do not read their stuff, I'm on their email list. I get stuff from IJR every day, and I suggest that you do too. She is a contributor to One America News Network, and has contributed to Nancy Grace, Dr. Drew, both of HLN. She's also a principal at Flamingo Road Studios, LLC. She was Oregon's Broadcaster of the Year in 2010. She keeps her website up to date at victoriataft.com. Write that down, victoriataft.com. And in that capacity, she's really emerged as a writer and a blogger. And especially since she began writing and blogging about this case. She considers Michael, who's been here many times, friends, you guys know him. She regards him as not only a colleague, but as a friend. She's used a lot of his videos on the air over the years. And as she has been a keen observer of the left for a very long time now, she believes that this prosecution was politically motivated. And I think that that's going to be obvious tonight when she shares with us. She's written 24 posts about this specific case, and she has a lot more to say. So that's why you need to go to her website, victoriataft.com. In addition, she's looking for sponsors for a podcast, which will likely be heard by thousands and thousands of people throughout the country, and especially on this issue, Second Amendment. It's your human right, friends, to defend yourself. She's appeared, as you know, on several radio talk shows, and especially on the One America News Network, and continues to hope to get more coverage. She's trying to get public interest law firms to take this case on because of its implications are enormous, friends. So without any further ado, would you please give a very warm welcome to our friend, our very own Victoria Taft.
I'd come up there, but I can't because I got to run my PowerPoint from down here, so that's no problem. Because this is the show here, and Mike Strickland's the show. Unfortunately, he never wanted to be that guy. But the reason I got involved in this was because Michael and I have just crossed paths over the years. He is a colleague of mine, and I used a lot of his videos on the air, and I believe that he does his job with integrity, certainly of late. Now, some people say, well, he gets in people's faces, and he makes them say stuff that they regret. And you know what? So did Mike Wallace. Oh, run, Mike Wallace. So that's what Mike Strickland is. So, without further ado, let's go to the PowerPoint and let's talk a little bit about this case that is going to resonate not just here, but around the country. Because right now, it is beginning to get national coverage, finally, at long last, thank God. Kevin Sterrett and I have been beating the bushes trying to get this thing heard by people, and you'd think that the organizations for which I work and contribute would be all over this, but I cannot convince people that it's a large enough story to do yet, especially after the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals opinion recently on the AK-47s and the AR-15 decision, that was just a mind blower. So Heller, no much. So anyway, let's start this. And this is the thing that you think you know about the Mike Strickland case. And I'll just sit here and I'll just run my little deal here. Just keep your eyes up there, because here it goes. This is what you think you know about the Mike Strickland case. And how come it's not working? Jim? There we go. Oh, I don't know. It just didn't go. That's okay. We'll just do it this way. So this is the first time I've done this. Can you tell? Here's what you think you know about the Mike Strickland case. There's no sound here. So that's a problem. There was sound here just a few minutes ago. So let's try it again. This is the story you saw in the Oregonian and on YouTube, if you go to YouTube. If you're savvy with social media, you probably saw this one. There were different renditions of this incident on July 7th, 2016, all over social media. After seeing all the different angles tonight, you're going to wonder what the hell happened in Multnomah County to Mike Strickland.
Okay, so that guy, he pulled a gun. That guy pulled out a gun. He's laughing at liberals.
Everybody knows Mike Strickland.
You know who that guy
He's
is?
laughing at liberals.
He's laughing at liberals.
He's laughing at liberals.
He's got a blog, laughing at liberals. Laughing at liberals.
And they all know that. There's going to be a lot of potty talk here tonight. And I just want you to know that these lovely lefties like to drop the F-bomb like you and I like to put sugar cubes in our coffee, okay? So you're just going to have to get your Kevlar vest over your ears and just get ready, because here's another angle. See that guy in the back right there, the big guy? He's the star of the show. Now, Mike was indicted on 21 counts, 10 of which are felonies, which could land him in prison, state prison, for more than 50 years for what just happened on that tape. 50 years. Possible. And the fact that the judge did not even take 2 minutes to consider his case, it might happen. This is out in front of the Justice Center. These are
Okay, so that guy pulled out a gun. He's laughing at liberals.
So laughing at liberals. Now, hear that guy? That's laughing at liberals. Everybody knows him because Mike's been going to these protests for years, covering these as a journalist, notwithstanding the fact that the prosecutor in the case wanted to depict him as a counter-protester, which is a big, fat lie. Here's what they say about Mike Strickland. Now check this out, because the liberal left doesn't like laughing at liberals to cover them. Here he is again.
Yeah, this guy who pulled a gun on the crowd, this white dude. He runs this blog called LaughingAtLiberals. He always comes down and kind of, people object to his presence because he kind of does like, people characterize his activity as like trolling. He goes in and gets like video and puts it up with kind of like sarcastic, borderline racist, sexist, homophobic stuff. And then the protesters in Portland generally despise him. And so they called him out, and he pulled a gun on him. He had some kind of like extended clip thing too. It was crazy.
Okay, so I'm just going to cut that guy off because this is a guy who did you hear his litany? So sexist, racist, homophobe. Of course, naturally, he's a conservative. He has to be those things. And so therefore, he must be a bad guy, therefore let's throw the book at him. And that is the operational premise that we start with tonight. That is how we got to this point, where a man could have his freedom deprived of him. He could go to prison for 50 years, dependent upon the vicissitudes and the whims of these people who believe that they have somehow been dissed by Mike Strickland. And that's what this is all about. I've done several interviews with people in the anarchist community, if you will. We'll hear from a couple of them coming up in just a minute. And they are of certain mind that the reason that this whole thing went down was the left got pissed at Mike Strickland because he depicted them in ways that made them embarrassed. He put a mirror up to their face and showed it to them, put it on the internet, on his website, on a YouTube channel that is called Laughing at Liberals. That is his domain. Laughing at Liberals online elsewhere is not. He has only got the presence on YouTube. So just so you know that. How in heaven's name did we get to the point where these nutters who have taken over the streets of Portland have now decided and depicted and in fact pointed to people who now say, you, over there, we're gonna get you, because that's what went down. Let's go back, shall we? Do we have like, I don't know, some lovely harp music or something that we could go to say that we're now entering into the Wayback Machine? Remember how silly these people like this used to get together and esticada and climb trees or sit on posts on the outside of buildings and Vera Katz would applaud them. And then there'd be people like her. I want to mourn the loss of all the old growth trees I've seen. God bless them. And tell them that we love them and that we don't want them to die. That there are some people here who do care. So I want you to know that, trees. We indulge these people. We found them amusing over a period of years, and yet somehow their viewpoints and craziness have gained a foothold in public discourse. Why do you even question that? Let's go to Occupy, not Portland in this case. I couldn't stop myself from including this in the presentation tonight. This is Occupy Sacramento.
We kept asking the simple question, why are you here? What's your message? This is what the organizer of this entire event told us.
Well, right now it's kind of vague.
Anthony Bond said that become the message team, working on the answer to why they're here.
So as it stands right now, that message team will reveal that tomorrow morning.
So you guys are formulating the reasons why you're here.
Exactly correct.
Exactly correct. They're going to come back with a message explaining what the hell they're doing there at Occupy Sacramento. But when we check with our people, we'll know. We'll get the message. So now here is a little bit of one of Mike's own videos. And I was going to say to anyone who might be listening tonight who has the ear of Amanda Fritz, that if she wants a free education in white privilege, she need only go to Laughing at Liberals, wherein Mike Strickland has done an entire series on the PCC white privilege classes that they were holding in Whiteness Month at PCC. Isn't it great? Your tax dollars at work. Here was something, maybe a little snippet of what they might have been doing at the Whiteness Conference. Oh, no. We've got to go back to the whiteness conference. Here we go. Go. Come on. No, it's not going to play for us. Oh, that's so sad. So very, very sad. Because that chick is awesome. Oh well. Portland's professional protesters, and she was one of them, where she said people need to check their privilege, because if you're not feeling guilty, you're just not doing it right. Here's a nice protester. I think you got a flash of his little sign that he did. This is just from last November when Donald Trump won the presidency. Here's his sign saying, "I hope that Donald Trump will get assassinated." Oh, the little darlings. Oh, they're just getting a little restless in the streets of Portland, aren't they? Let's go. Let's find out what they're doing. Here's a protest. And oh, look, Donald Trump supporters right here. Watch carefully. Keep watching. And 3, 2, and 1. Did you get it? This is the same guy who was protected by police and was also defending himself. He had a concealed carry handgun license. He had a pistol on his hip in a holster, hidden, and they got all upset because the police were protecting him because they wanted to beat the SHIT out of him. And they came back and indeed brought a baseball bat, we are told, wherein he was thrashed. And that is not on tape. Just one more time for good measure. You know, in Portland, you just can't have a good protest without a drum circle. I like the cymbals. And 3, 2. Oh wait, this guy's not coming. Yeah, here he comes. This is assault and battery, right there. You think that guy was arrested? Oh, hell no, he was not arrested. Here's the Michael Brown protesters spilling onto the freeway. This is a Laughing at Liberals one. This is how out of control Portland has gotten with protesters. We had protesters shooting another protester after the Donald Trump election. We cannot control our own streets. People are taking the rule of law in their own hands. There have been so many incidents in which we find that people have carried their own weapons, they're CHL holders, they have every right to do so, and threatened people. Here's one guy who threatened these guys that he had a gun. And why wouldn't he? Look what they're doing. Oh, look at the little darlings. They're surrounding his car, preventing him from moving anywhere.
Don't run into people.
They stand in front of your car and then tell you that you're running into them.
I'm not in your fucking way. Stop talking to me.
Watch your language, punk.
Good luck.
Fucking lay off, motherfucker.
Nice scarf.
How about you lay off?
Nobody's in your fucking way. We're protecting people.
Did you see that? She just said to him, it'll be just a second. We'll get out of your way. Did you know that they didn't get out of his way? Isn't that a shocker? Yeah, let's go to the next one. Here's another one where we have a lovely Portland protest. There's the drum circle. Oh, I think it's the same one where the Trump guy's got. I probably just did that. So this is another thing that was just passed out at the anti-Donald Trump protests recently. Don't snitch ever, Portland. Put down your cell phones, participate, and if you do take photographs or video evidence, we'll get you. So in this milieu, Michael Strickland made a living. He covered this stuff like a reporter covers this stuff. He put it online like a reporter puts stuff online. KGW has an online version of its news. Michael Strickland has an online version of his news. You may not like his tactics. Some people don't. But so what? It's news, and he did it, and he is a journalist. And not only that, He not only made money from his own website, his Laughing at Liberals YouTube channels, he also was working as a working journalist as a political reporter for count them, two huge websites. This is not a trifling thing. And when you've got somebody coming in and saying that you are in fact a counter-protester when you are there to cover an event, and then have people say that you are the problem, assault you, and then get you arrested where you could face 50 years in prison, let me tell you something. That's a huge problem. So here's the indictment. Michael Strickland was indicted. And part of the indictment was Dan Sandini, who had to move out of the state. I think he's got other stuff going on. But Dan Sandini and Michael Strickland were tempted by the same muse years and years ago. And it was this: I can do what reporters do. I can tell stories that they don't tell because they prefer not to do the difficult job of telling them. And I'm going to do it because, you know, Andrew Breitbart said it was okay. Now, Andrew Breitbart, of course, Breitbart News is getting all kinds of bad reputation, supposedly, because for a variety of reasons. Because they don't like him, that's right. But, you know, the thing is that I frankly did not approve of what they did during the election coverage, and I had some issues with that. And I thought to myself, and I told friends, Andrew Breitbart, I knew Andrew Breitbart would roll over in his grave to find out what Breitbart did, but that doesn't make what they did wrong. No, just made him very, very unpopular. Now, so here is part of the indictment against Mike Strickland. Now, I just want you to take a look at the count one here, if you can. They call him, they describe him, to wit, a balding male wearing a black shirt and dark pants, a firearm, a dangerous and deadly weapon, contrary, etc., etc., etc. You go down to the counts and you find out who the so-called victims are in this case, and they're all people who are wearing hoodies and have backpacks and have scarves over their faces. They are the anarchists who have been attacking Michael Strickland in this situation on this day, and they are now magically, through the miraculous pixie dust of a DA, now victims in this case. Here's one guy who said that this event on July 7th, 2016, this is, Slaughter, John Slaughter. He also testified against Michael, and he had some really rollicking testimony against Michael too. Wait till you hear what he said. This is awesome. And so here he is in a previous video. Now he's kind of cranky with Michael, because Michael deigned to show up to a tribute to the Orlando victims of a terrorist attack. And Michael then was depicted, for whatever reason, after that, as a racist. Now, why would that ever happen? Let me tell you. One of the reasons why Michael was depicted as a racist was because that guy, that man, who looks like he should probably take a little nap, said that he had gotten some racist communiques, and he laid them at the feet of Michael Strickland. Well, Michael Strickland says he never got in touch with this guy, but why in heaven's name would Michael know how to get in touch with him? Oh, I know, and I'm not going to play it for you, because that loon gave Michael his name, told him where he worked, which is PCC as a basketball coach. God bless America. And he also gave him his phone number, whereupon Michael said, he gave him permission to put in the video. Now, I'm not doing it, but Michael did it. And he said, okay, here's this dude's phone number. And people got in touch with him, and all of a sudden, Michael Strickland is a racist. He filed a police report, this genius did, and he filed the report and then provided absolutely no evidence whatsoever that would support his allegations that Michael was A, doing anything to him, threatening him in any form or fashion, and had actually communicated with him. But other than having absolutely no evidence, that was used. I want you to hear this. That information from this loony man was used to enhance Michael Strickland's charges. They went from 2 misdemeanors to 21 counts, 10 of which are felonies. I want you to boo. This dude gets a boo, a big boo. And he lied. And he swore an affidavit and he lied, provided absolutely no proof of it. There's nothing in the public record at all. Now here he is, and that was at the Orlando deal. Now here's another place where we see John Slaughter. Now I want you to listen carefully, much potty talk, but I want you to drink in the irony here of this event at Pioneer Courthouse Square right before the march to the court building to do their rally and that sort of thing on July 7th, 2016. This guy comes into play a little bit later.
They go about they burden of whatever they said you're doing, you pull your pussy out, you fucking bust that. You pull your pussy out, you bust that. Because at the end of the day, it's gonna be you against it.
He's telling people to kill the cops.
When we move with the Panthers, trust me, when you see me move, I'm moving in violence. Now stop clapping.
There's John.
Stop clapping, because most of y'all folks ain't involved. Real talk. We're tired of walking around here asking y'all to help us. No more asking. We need action. Fucking take action. I don't give a fuck whether you knock them over, whether you run up on them, whatever you do. You gotta fucking take action. I'm like,
Now this is at a Don't Shoot Portland event. This is a BLM, Black Lives Matter. We think of it as Bureau of Land Management. That's been heisted by these guys. So it's a Black Lives Matter / Don't Shoot Portland PDX event. And these guys are encouraging people to shoot people. Now I just want you to appreciate that. And I want you to see something else. Here's a longer version of this, and I beg your indulgence in watching this because there's a key thing that happens in this video.
everybody, hey, who in here like legally can carry a gun? Raise your hand. Who legally can carry a gun? Man, raise your fucking hand, man, if you can legally carry a gun. So everybody who right now got your heads down, you're all fucked up and washed up because it's an open carry state. Right. So if you think you can't carry, you all kind of fucked up and then washed your head. It's an open carry state. Which means you can walk around with a pistol in your hip.
There's John Slaughter right back there, holding his child.
Open. Let's go. Openly. You hear what I'm saying to you? Openly. This is a no terrorist stop state. No terrorist stop state. This is not a stop and frisk state. Let's go. Which means they cannot stop you for just walking down the street. If you're not committing a crime, know what a crime is. A crime is when you commit an act of person or property. Everything else is a fucking policy. Let's go. Everything else is a fucking policy.
There's John Slaughter again, holding his
So
baby.
you cannot walk down the street and I say I'm walking down the street with a pistol on my hip. If you cannot stop me, if I'm not committing a crime against a person.
And I'm going to stop him because we don't need to listen to all of it, but I just wanted you to see John Slaughter with his child in his arms. He also had a couple of smaller ones around him. He testified in court that this event, the one you just witnessed there, and the subsequent rally that occurred right by Occupy Portland was in fact a family-friendly event. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't tell my kids that it's okay to pop a cop at a family-friendly event. Oh, wait, there's more. Because there were some of these people who were part of the left who are so-called victims now. Remember I told you about the magic fairy dust, the pixie dust that somehow magically contrived to make these people who were attacking Mike Strickland, you'll see it, don't worry, into victims of Mike Strickland. Meet Ben Carenza. There he is. Ben Carenza has made a life as a hacker. He's a hacker in the city of Portland. He is also a man who goes to lots of protests. There he is in the back. You really can't miss him, honestly. He likes to wear a mask over his face, for which Mike Strickland made a video making fun of him because he is so large that you it's really not necessary to cover his face, because everybody knows that that anarchist who weighs 350 to 400 pounds is Ben Carenza. Now, you would think that it would take it would just be easy to have people cop to, hey, that's Ben Carenza. Oh no, I mean, it took forever to get the name out of people. Here he is. Recently, you've seen this. This is a live coin feed. Thanks, Chuck. I think you were the one that turned me on to this. That we see Ben Carenza, yet again. This is where he's at the airport surrounding people's cars and not allowing them to get to wherever the hell they want to go. This is also the same night that we see Jesse Sponberg, who was at the Portland airport with these people, cold cock a counter-protester in this case, a guy who was reading Bible verses and is generally, I'm told by other people, fairly annoying, but Jesse could not stand the idea of that guy hanging around, so he went and cold cocked him, sending him to the hospital, an assault for which he has not yet, I believe, been charged. Here's Ben Carenza again. Here he is. See that guy? You can't miss him. He's the guy in the blue shirt, in case you were wondering. There he is getting arrested at Portland City Hall. He's been arrested because he stormed the City Hall, as many people did. I'm trying to remember what month this was. Who cares? It's just Portland. Every Friday at 4, it's got to be something. So here he is again. And here he is back when he was 19 years old. Here's Ben Carenza, the victim, mind you. Here he is in federal lockup for calling in bomb threats to Oracle World and his employer, a movie theater. Here's this guy. This man is severely troubling and he's quite dangerous. Hey, Ben Carenza, if you're watching any of these live streams we've got going here, we know who you are and we know how dangerous you are, and we carry just putting out there. So don't try anything. He went to federal prison for this episode. Then he came to Oregon, and then he pretty much did it again. Except this time, he pretended to be an FBI agent, which landed him in not just prison again for a while. He also got into a scrape in, I think, 4 counties in the state of Oregon. He's a bad actor. Has he been arrested for assaulting Michael Strickland? That would be not just a no, that is a hell no. He has not been brought up on charges. Now, I have 2 anarchists who talked to me. I'm going to sort of go off script here for a second, who, I'll just tell you about it because we're getting long. So I came back up to Portland. I made several trips up here for this story because I think it's worth telling and I want to make sure that it gets told. So I talked to 2 anarchists and I said, hey, so what happened to Michael? What was the deal there? Because you'll see in just a minute that Michael was surrounded by these lovely victims and beaten. And when they came at him again is when he drew his weapon. That's what went down July 7th, 2016. So I have that testimony. That's part of the podcast I'm going to put up. And if you have a business and you want to be my sponsor, great. Here he is. Here's Kathleen's illicit picture of the Chuck and Mike. In fact, I think it was that photograph. Was it not, Kathleen, that got you kicked out of the courtroom? And I'm so sorry about that.
That's okay. That's okay.
The victims testified in Michael's trial that John Slaughter, you know, that guy who brought his children to the hate crime, he testified that he and others conspired to assault and kick Michael out of the event. Now, can you imagine if somebody said, well, you know, we're going to kick KGW and Coin out of this event, and not have somebody say, you know, that's a problem. You can't do that to the media. Carenza, that nice young man we met who spent more time in federal prison than you have in the bathroom, testified that they conspired to confront and forcibly remove him from the protest. You have on the record 2 of their key witnesses, one of whom was depicted as a victim, saying that, you know what, we conspired to get rid of him. Ergo, they conspired to rough him up. And Carenza also testified he had assaulted Michael Strickland. Now, here it is. And I want to go, well, crap, that doggone thing. It's not supposed to do that. So they conspired. And John Slaughter said, he apparently, you know, I mean, he's probably a very fine basketball coach, but for a lawyer, not so much. No, not so much. And what he did was, he testified that, yeah, we conspired to do this. And you'll see in this video, this is another angle of the attack. This is when they get all together out there from the big federal building and the jail and the Justice Center and all that stuff, that complex over there. And you can see John Slaughter in the crowd. Do you see it? You see the guy's I call him sideways hat. I refuse to say the guy's name because God knows I can't remember it. He's got like 4 names. Right there. Yes, guys? Okay, sideways hat and John Slaughter. Right there. I want you to watch him. Watch John Slaughter. This is the family-friendly event. John's attention is caught up above. It's coming. Look, they're pointing up there. Why are they pointing up there? Because they just green-lighted the attack on Mike Strickland. This is my belief. Do I have absolute proof? No, but I think that's what happened. In fact, the person who took this video had the best view of the attack, and actually told me that he saw Ben Carenza attack and assault Mike Strickland. We have eyewitnesses. By the way, they showed up in court. What the hell happened there? Sorry, I'm just like, I get really, really upset about this. So facts established at the trial. Carenza was 11 feet from Strickland when he drew his weapon, when Strickland drew his weapon. John Slaughter testified he went to his car to get his own gun and come back and confront Strickland. That's an interesting factoid, don't you think, that for that family-friendly event? Michael actually had his weapon unholstered for a grand total of 7 seconds. Then Commander Chris Davis, who's now a deputy chief or whatever, testified that there were no uniformed cops in the area. There weren't. They came to arrest Strickland. Mayhem, bedlam, let's kill cops. Hey kids, let's put on a show and bring the family as we talk about running up on cops and killing people and open carrying, all that stuff, which is not illegal, but nevertheless, I mean, there's clearly something going on there. And they came to arrest Michael Strickland. Oh, okay. Strickland backed his way up the street. He was in traffic, there were cars coming, he was afraid for his life. And when the cops came, he voluntarily spread eagle, gave him his gun, the whole 9 yards. As I said, that his gun was unholstered for 7 seconds total. Strickland, in fact, could do as many as 50 years in prison for 7 seconds having his gun unholstered. Now, we know, I mean, people who have concealed carry weapons permits, they know that anything can happen on a second's notice. And they know that they take on the responsibility. My conjecture is that he did nothing wrong. He was trying to defend himself. And in fact, he had a very good reason to. This is just me. I'm not an expert and I'm not an attorney, but when I saw that video for the very first time, I said, I have to do something about this. I have to write about it at the very least, and now I'm sort of deep in this. So Strickland was arrested. The tools of the trade were taken. Some were returned later, but yet you're not going to believe this. The video that exonerates him was under lock and key and remained so until the last day of his trial, wherein the judge saw it and then within 2 minutes declared him guilty. Strickland's film showed his first-person account, and then when the judge saw it and then rendered the verdict guilty, he said that the actions of the mob bore no resemblance, or rather, bore no weight on Strickland's reaction, and therefore he was guilty. Now, here's what you don't know. Here is Mike Bluehair's video. This is another angle of this. This one got lots of play. 1.2 million people have seen this video taken on the streets of Portland and Michael Strickland.
He just wants to fucking leave. He's afraid to turn his back. Just let him leave. All right? Seriously, we don't need one little kid shot. We don't need one little kid shot.
so Mike Bluehair, one of the people I interviewed as well, said that, of course, clearly he was afraid for his life because he didn't want to turn his back, and he had to slowly walk backwards, a grand total of 2 blocks he did that, so that he could, eventually, the cops came and they arrested him. And one of the other things that happened in this video, but time doesn't permit us to see everything, and I blogged it all, and it's over at victoriataft.com, but it shows these people, these leftist nutters, coming back at Michael Strickland, including sideways hat guy, who told his minions, remember now, when I walk in violence, and he was coming for Mike Strickland. Now it turns out, he turned out to be somewhat of a good guy in that he held off other people. So we'll give him that one. We'll give him that moment of grace. But honestly, that must have been frightening for Mike Strickland. Here's the video you never saw. Look at these people surrounding him. This is what he confronted. You ever seen that video? Didn't get a lot of hits. It's on YouTube. There's a guy taking off his backpack. People are holding other people back to stop them from attacking him. He pulls his weapon. Mike Bluehair said, man, put it back, put it back. And he did. Let's watch it again. I just want to watch, I want you to see that again. Because that's huge. Here it is. Here's the video. If you were in the same position, what would you do? He's giving them verbal commands. He's telling them, he's taking his monopod, holding it up as a weapon, as a defense weapon. Look at these people converging on him. And then you'll see the 350-pound guy comes from his left. I think it's in this video somewhere, but I'm hoping that I included that. And he starts charging him. And that's why Mike needed his weapon, so he missed it already. That's okay. So the very people who assaulted and conspired against Mike, they lied on the stand. They lied about him, libeled him, slandered him. These people have not been charged with assault. And you know why? Because if they're charged with assault, that means Mike Strickland defended himself against a mob attack. And they cannot bear that. Now I want you to see this. Here's the indictment. This is the last page of the indictment, the 21-count indictment. And I want you to read the second sentence. What they said that Mike Strickland did. He unlawfully and recklessly created a risk of public inconvenience, annoyance, and alarm by engaging in fighting and violent, tumultuous, and threatening behavior. He did not. He defended himself with his gun. That is wrong. It's a travesty. It's a miscarriage of justice. And we, right-thinking people in Portland, Oregon and across this country need to stand up to this travesty. And you need to get on it. We've got to do something to get this kid free. He's going to be sentenced in May. We've got less than 30 days to do this appeal. I don't know whose legal counsel's going to be. I've asked everybody under the sun to come in as a civil rights organization to stand up for Michael Strickland, to defend his 14th Amendment right of due process and equal justice under the law, under his First Amendment ability to cover something and not be told by the courts subsequent to his prosecution that he can't write anything. He can't video anything. He can't do anything. He cannot practice the trade that he is part of. That's his life. He can't do it. Now, the judge has legalized the mob. The onus was on the state to disprove self-defense. They did not do so in a court of law. That's a problem. And a beyond a reasonable doubt standard had to be applied in this case. And as far as the people who were in the courtroom were concerned, I was not one of them. They failed. It took 2 minutes for the judge to declare Mike Strickland guilty after a week-long trial. 2 minutes. And not just one count, 2 counts. This one looked better than this one was worse than this one. No, we're just gonna go for all of it. And for those 2 minutes, and that's 7 seconds, he could do over 50 years in prison. Now that's a travesty. Thank you. Oh, I'd be very happy to take whatever questions you have, and I know Chuck is here as well, who was in the court. Where are you? So, yes, questions, yes.
Okay. I came here not to give you a question, but also to fill in some details.
Please.
Baseline, in the summer of 2015 in Simon Coffee Shop, Dave Steffenhagen, Robbie Fleming, Mike Strickland, John Woods, Chuck Riley. Chuck Riley talked about slavery. Anybody remember that? Remember when that was a Mike Strickland. That day there, when I saw Mike after the meeting, I told him, you're a target. That changes everything. You moved up in the food chain.
That's true. He also has done some videos about Kate Brown, and he's also done the white privilege thing, which got him the moniker of being a racist. So this John Slaughter stuff, where he decided that somebody said something sideways to John Slaughter. A police report was written, and there are no supporting evidence whatsoever. That intensified and enhanced the charges against Mike Strickland, and thereafter, Mike Strickland was called racist, homophobic, all these things at these events. Now, why do you think that is? Because that's the reflexive thing the left does. Hey, I can't get you on an even playing field. I can't get you on what you're doing, but I can call you a racist, and that'll do something. Yes, in the back.
Victoria, it's no wonder he was afraid for his life, because a year or 2 ago he had his arm broken by something crazy.
Well, that's right. And I didn't have time to put that in there, and that's a pretty shocking. If go ahead and look it up. It's over at the victoriataft.com website. It is Sky Fitzgerald, a man who was making an anti-Second Amendment movie, a documentary. He was making this vid, and then he told Mike Strickland, hey, you want to be a part of it? So Strickland said, sure, I'll do it. And then when Mike Strickland saw the trailer for it, he realized that the guy flipped the script, lied to him about what the premise of the movie was, and he said, yeah, we're not doing this. I'm not doing this. He confronted him. He took a camera like that, and he confronted the guy. Did he do anything? Did he threaten him? Did he do anything? No. He says, I want to have a conversation. Yeah, it's a little in your face, but it's not against law. Sky Fitzgerald took Mike's cameras, and then he beat the crap out of him in the parking lot of a restaurant. Is it Sherry's?
Sherry's aggression.
Sherry's aggression, yeah, that's...
He had a gun in his pocket, he didn't even draw it.
He did not draw his gun. He's, by the way, he's been packing since 2011. So, but the thing is that Sky Fitzgerald broke his arm in 3 places. Mike went to the hospital and couldn't work for 3 months. Sky Fitzgerald was not prosecuted. And, may I add one more thing? That assault was on tape. That was on tape.
Yes.
And they did not prosecute. You have undeniable proof. He's on tape. And he stole, and by the way, and then he stole the camera. And he said, oh, I'll give it back. And then you know what the prosecutor said? Well, I promised to give it back. I mean, who's running that? Who's running the insane asylum around here anyway?
Yeah.
Steve Shop.
If the previous assault was on tape, how come it hasn't been prevalent?
I put it up. In fact, for the first time it was ever put online was on my website. And the reason it is because he didn't want it out there yet. He was kind of waiting for the prosecutor to do something. He goes, well, what the heck? I got the book thrown at me. Might as well put it out there. Prosecutor didn't do squat to those guys. And by the way, let me just mention one more time. Ben Carenza and the other victims who were rushing him, and those guys are not prosecuted. Now, Steve Russell over here, former cop, detective, and I had him look at the video. And what'd you say, Steve? You just said, this is just BS is what this is. You want the microphone?
No, I don't want to.
Yes, you do. What a Portland's former finest.
I'm not the only one in here, so please keep your hands where I can see them. I'm going to leave my comments to what I posted on Facebook. It's all the same to you. I think they're general enough and pointed enough as it stands.
That's very humble of you, Steve. Thanks a lot, pal. I'm not there for the handoff. Yes, Chuck.
A couple of things. I was at the trial from the start to the finish, and you've addressed these points in a general sort of way, but every one of the witnesses that appeared on behalf of the state was discredited. Now, you said they were lying, and how do we know that they were lying? It's because Mike's lawyers crossed them, and when they were crossed, every single one of them got caught in at least one or more lies. I've been a juror once in my life, and I was told in jury instructions, which apply to any case, if one witness tells just one lie, it doesn't matter what the rest of their testimony is, whether it's truthful or not. You are to discredit everything that person says. Every one of the state's witnesses lied, and yet the judge believed them over Mike's witnesses to have prosecuted him. I mean, my jaw was on the floor when that.
Let me bring up one more thing, because this, I'm sorry, Greg, you don't want, one more thing that was this just confirms the travesty. At the 59th minute of the 11th hour, the prosecutor was allowed to bring in a witness that they had not told the defense about. And it was in response to the use of force expert that the defense brought in, and who confirmed what Mike did was totally legal, and in fact, it was sane to do it. So they brought in a use of force guy, and he had a little bit more later knowledge. It was both from Gresham PD, and he had a little bit more, up-to-date knowledge on use of force, the patterns, the circles, whatever, lines that you use. It's all changing now. And so, for whatever reason, he said that, he didn't do the right thing. So therefore, the prosecution was able to win its case based on a last-minute witness who was not told, that the defense was not told about, except until 9 o'clock the night before he was to testify. They thought they knew who it might be, and so they did a little homework, and this rough and tumble use of force expert was a guy from Gresham PD, very respected officer, and he also has been involved in one police shooting in his time. He was about 20 feet away when he had to pull a service revolver or his 9mm or whatever he's carrying. It's a service weapon. And he had to do that because he locked eyes on a perp. He locked eyes on a perp, and it was do or die. And the golden retriever's name was Peaches, and Peaches died. And that's the only shooting that the officer's been involved in. And I just read his story about it, and I thought, the dog stared at you, the golden retriever named Peaches stared at you when you were involved in this shooting. So I'm not saying that, I'm just saying it's kind of lame. That's what I'm saying. Yes, Greg?
Victoria.
Greg.
Thank you, darling. Listen, we have to kind of end pretty much at our time here because the vast majority of these people have to get into the last light rail car in order to go home. Now, the ones that remaining, if you'll stay a few minutes, there are probably some other people that want to make some comments and ask you some questions.
Okay, sure.
Thank you very much, Victoria Taft. All right, that concludes our March meeting. I saw some new faces here tonight. You're certainly invited to come back. It's the first Wednesday of every month, and we invite the more the merrier. So have a safe trip home. And Victoria is not finished.
I don't go away until I tell you where to give money to the Michael Strickland Defense Fund. Oregon Firearms Federation is taking up defense fund money. Please give generously. We desperately need to finance a good appeal for this guy. So, go now. OFF, yes.
Okay, thanks very much. Hey, listen, don't forget, you're all invited into the cigar room because a lot of times when you sit here for this long, your lungs begin to clear. And you was at Malady. So anyway, you can come on.